Hello, welcome. I'm excited to teach you my C and G phonics game. It's wonderful. First of all, my name is Linda Catherine Smith Jones. I am the author of Phonetic Reading with Silent Elephant E. It's a reading program for all learners, which are preschoolers to adults of any age then. And it's particularly for dyslexic or any learners that are struggling or have learning differences. However, like I said, it's for all learners. And so if children have no learning differences, they will just soar so quickly through my program. I wanted to share a little bit of background information about myself. I taught K through 6 in the classroom for 36 years. I retired in 2010. Upon retirement, I was able to begin writing my reading program. I wrote the program for 4 years, and my dear friend and colleague, Nina Henson, edited the program with me for those 4 years, and we still are writing and editing and improving the program today. I have been tutoring children. Before COVID, I was tutoring in my home, and now I tutor on Zoom during the school year about 48 hours a week, and during the summer, 31 hours a week. I hope that you will be able to visit my website, silentelephante.com. Before I teach you the phonics game today, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the origin of Silent Elephant E. It actually began about 34 years ago. My daughter and I were outside in our backyard. I was gardening, she was drawing, she was only 3 years old. We were just busy, and then she came running across the yard. She's like, Mommy, look at my picture. I drew a picture of our family. And I was so excited to see it. And she said, there's you, Mommy, and there's Daddy and Scott, her big brother, and there's me. And I looked at the picture, and I had to keep the smile on my face and the happy tone of my voice. And I said, well, how are we feeling? And she said, we're feeling great. We're happy, Mom. And I said, well, how do you know? And she said, well, look at our big smiles. And I pulled her to me, and I hugged her, and I told her again how much I loved her picture. However, inside, I was really quite concerned. It was a turning point in my life because I discovered on that day that she was dyslexic, because she had not drawn smiles, she had drawn frowns. And I thought, oh my goodness, you are dyslexic just like your daddy is. And so from that day on, I renewed my efforts, I guess, and my goals to always be able to reach out and teach all of my children with any type of learning differences. I had studied many classes, taken classes and workshops, always trying to be able to help all of my students. At that time, I had taught 12 years, and I knew there was even more to learn to help these children with learning differences. This became a passion of mine, and I began asking my children in my classroom, and my daughter and my husband even, when I was teaching or telling them something, what did I do that really helped you to learn? What did I do that confused you? What do you think I could do better? Do you think you'll remember this in a couple of weeks and in a month or so from now? And I'd actually ask them these questions later to see if they really were remembering. And I really truly listened to all of their input, all of their answers to me, and I thought, I want to do the very best job of teaching that I can, and I want to reach all of these children. And so that was really the basis for revamping or redoing, refining my teaching, and then writing all my ideas down on paper and forming this reading program, Phonetic Reading with Silent Elephant E. The methods that are in my book have been proven. They've been used for many years by me, and I've been sharing with many teachers in the classroom and homeschool educators and friends, lots of people. Silent Elephant E is based on phonemic awareness. It is the foundation of learning to read, write, and spell. So part 1 of my program is phonemic awareness. Part 2 of my program is my research and assessments. So part 1 is phonemic awareness, part 2 is assessments, part 3 through 14. There are 14 parts in my program. 3 through 14 is the phonics portion of the program. So upon completion of part 1, the phonemic awareness, or sometimes I start children in part 1 and along with part 1 begin part 3 phonics. But once they have got a good grasp on phonemic awareness, they are certainly enabled to truly make sense of abstract phonics rules. And all of my phonics lessons are taught just with fun, multisensory, using their whole body to learn, and they're explicitly organized. I call my directions in my book cookbook directions, because they are step by step by step by step. You will love teaching because it's so well organized, and your children will love learning because they will be able to organize everything that you're teaching in their brains also. Also, because of all the activities that are so multisensory, using their whole body, and having fun, the activities are extremely memorable, and the rules then become memorable. They don't forget them. I will be teaching you a lesson today from part 8 of my reading program, and it's the C and G game. And we'll be doing that in just a minute. I also hope that you will visit my website and note my data. My data is based on students working with me an average of 1.5 hours per week. Some work with me 2 hours a week, some even a little bit more. But my data is based on 1.5 hours per week. Within just 2 months of using phonetic reading with silent elephant E, children advance 1 full grade level in 2 months. Instead of 1 full grade level in a school year, 1 full grade level in just 2 months. And the other really exciting part of my data is that children advance to their age-appropriate grade level. And keep in mind, please, that I'm working with children that have learning differences. They reach their age-appropriate grade level on average in 4 months, and some little as 2.5 months. So Silent Elephant is an excellent, excellent program. It meets the literacy needs of all learners with or without learning differences. So it is particularly effective for dyslexic and struggling learners because, as I mentioned with my story about my daughter and my husband, dyslexia has definitely been a passion of mine. However, I teach children with dyspraxia, Down syndrome, hearing impairments, vision impairments, ADHD, ADD, all kinds of learning differences. Silent Elephant E instructs children and adults, because it is truly for adults also, and it instructs them the way they love to learn, the way that's the best for them to learn, and making sure that they're progressing to become fluent readers and lifelong learners. Children will excel as confident learners, capable learners, and they will love reading and writing and spelling. One of my goals is to have a parent call me and say, so-and-so, I just could not get them to sleep last night because they just wanted to read and read and read. And now their favorite thing to do is to read. And that is just warms my heart. So, and you will find if you use phonetic reading with Silent Elephant E, your children will love to read. And I really think when children are having fun or adults are having fun, that's when you learn the best. Phonics is truly proven to be the most effective way to teach reading. I know there are other methods, and I've used them from time to time, and especially in my early days of teaching, such as whole language. But phonics truly is proven to be the very best way to teach reading. So my parts 3 through 14 are the phonics portion of my program. The phonics rules are taught in a progressive manner, so that one rule is taught. We begin with short vowels, and we move from one thing to the next thing to the next thing in a very progressive and a very sequenced manner, and extremely well organized. And you will have no problems teaching my program. It's very well organized. I also have videos which you can watch me introduce the lesson, and just you can have fun together, and I think you'd enjoy those also. Each lesson in phonics, my phonics program, engages the whole learner. They're always actively participating all of the time. They're always participating. They always have colored pencils or markers, or we are doing stories or puppets, acting out plays, magic. I have a magic hat. Whenever I can, I pull food into teaching because food is a great incentive for learning. Lots of times we're doing drawings, writings, and playing games. And so right now we're going to begin the C and G game. All you need for supplies, we need some paper, a piece of sheet of paper, regular pencil, 3 colored pencils, red, yellow, black, or markers are fine too, and some little play, like a thing you can move around the game board. And so whatever you'd like to choose. The very first thing I would like you to do when you're teaching your children is to talk about the number 2, because the number 2 can be written in several different ways. So I talk with children about the number 2 can be written with tally marks, just like tally marks like that, Roman numerals, Roman numeral number 2, standard numeral number 2, which is partly half of a heart, and then a digital number 2. And that's what we are going to write on our game board right now, is the digital number 2. On our big sheet of paper, I'd like to first of all draw a line about 1/3 from the bottom, and that is going to be our space for practicing words. This top part is going to be our game board, and so we're going to entitle it the C and G game. And that is going to be the title of our paper, C and G game. And I take a minute to talk to children about when you put quotation marks around letters, then you actually say the names of the letters. It's like spelling when you have quotation marks. So it's a C and G game. Then we have this big space right now where we are going to make a digital number 2. And it's very important, especially with children with dyslexia, that you help them get started making their 2 the correct direction, because it is easy for people with dyslexia to mix up the number 2 and the number 5. So please make right now a digital number 2 on your paper, just with a regular pencil or with a black pencil or black marker is fine. Okay, once you have that finished, we're going to use our red pencil, and we're going to talk about the sharp corners on a digital number 2, different than, say, a standard number 2 or the tally marks. The digital number 2 has sharp corners. And so what I want you to do is to put a red dot on every single sharp corner. Go ahead and do that. Okay, then in my reading program, I always use the color red for vowels. Red is, even back to caveman day, when, if cavemen would get cut or something and they'd see blood, it was danger. And so the vowels are the most difficult part of learning to read, write, and spell. And that's why I use red. Red is danger to our brain, and we really focus on red. And so right now we're going to use red for vowels. And it's very important that your children can tell you the names of the vowels in order. And so we're going to write a lowercase a, please, next to the first dot. And then when we made this digital number 2, it's going to be like a maze. And so we have to follow the lines. We cannot take any shortcuts from here to here. We have to follow the lines. So we're going to start here with A, go straight across, and put the next vowel in alphabetical order is E. So go straight across and put a lowercase e. And then straight down, right underneath the E, put a lowercase I. So you have A, E, I. Please make sure that you have not put I over here, because we have to follow the maze. A, E, I. Now go straight across, and the next vowel is, in alphabetical order, O. So we have A, E, I, O. And then straight down is U. And straight across will be Y. And we will not, those are the vowels we will use for the C and G game. A, E, I, O, U, Y. Okay, great. When you have that finished, we're going to draw, kids always love drawing, we're going to draw a little mouse up by the letter A, because this little mouse wants to play our game right now. And the little mouse is going to be moving through the maze. So here's just my little mouse, which is the little mouse here that I showed you we will be playing with. So put a little mouse by the letter A. And I take some time to teach children about just use a half circle for the body and sort of a half circle for the ears. Nice little wiggly line. The mouse will travel from A to E, down to the letter I, across to the letter O, down to the letter U, and across to the letter Y. And if your little mouse follows the maze correctly, the mouse would like to have a special treat at the end of the maze. What do you think it might be? Yes, love cheese. So I'm going to use some orange right now to make some cheese, just so it'll show up a little better. And you can certainly use your yellow. And so here is a piece of cheese at the letter Y. So this is our maze that our mouse is going to follow. So again, he'll start with A, E, I, O, U, and Y, and there's the cheese, there's the reward. All right, now once we have this part of our game board done, we actually have to cut our maze in half, and we're going to do that by drawing a vertical line straight through the center of our game board. Okay, by doing this, we have divided our game board into this side, which has the vowels A, O, and U, and this side that has the vowels E, I, and Y. The reason we're doing that is because the letter C and the letter G can make the hard sounds and the soft sounds. And so we now have divided into the hard side is over here and the soft side is over here. So what we're going to do, we're going to write the word hard on this side of our game board and the word soft on this side. And I'll underline it. And I'm just writing it with black or regular pencil. So write hard on the side with the mouse, and it has the vowels A, O, U. And write soft on the side with the cheese, and it has the vowels E, I, Y. And do use those little clues for your children too. The hard side has the mouse. The soft side has the cheese. Okay, then I'm going to actually take my color yellow and highlight the words hard and soft, because that's the color we're going to use. In my reading program, I use yellow for consonants, for single consonants. So if you could highlight the words hard and soft with yellow. Okay, now we're going to talk about that C can make the sound of, the hard sound of C is K, and the hard sound of G, oops, I dropped my paper. The hard sound of G is G. And so, again, I'll have you highlight this with yellow. Okay, and while you're copying what I just did, I'm sorry to keep moving. While you're copying, the C is making a K sound for the hard sound, K, and the G is making a G sound for the hard sound. And I talk to children about what does it mean, the hard sound and the soft sound. And I show them pictures, just Google a picture of a mouth, and we talk about the hard palate in the top of your mouth. Your teeth, the roots of your teeth are in the hard palate. The soft palate is way up in the center part that is soft. It doesn't have any bone in there. And when we're making a hard sound of K, it's loud, it's noisy, it's sort of hard on our ears because it's a loud sound. But it's also because the sides of our tongue, and you can use a mirror and look in there with your children, the sides of our tongue kind of pop up on the sides and pop off that hard palate. And the G sound too. It pops off that hard palate, and that's why it's called the hard sound. Also, I talk to the children about a lot of our words that have the hard sound of C and G come from the Celtic language, Old English, the Vikings, just kind of loud, noisy sounds. Now on the soft side, it's the opposite. C is making the sound of S, and G is making the sound of J. And so I talked with children about these soft sounds, the C making S and the G making Ch. They're softer on our ears. There's a lot of air coming out. Our tongue is not popping off of the hard palate. It's just S, a lot of air, and Ch, 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 a lot of air coming out. It's very soft sound. And interesting enough, a lot of our words that we use in English that have the soft sounds of C and G actually have a French origin. So many of these words with soft C and G are actually from the French language, and we borrowed them in our English language. Okay, so we're almost finished with our game board. We just have one more thing to add. On the hard side at the bottom, we're going to add the word end, because sometimes C and G comes at the end of a word and there's no vowel after it. And so just write the word end right there. And a couple example words are the word dog with a G at the end, and the word music with a C at the end that's making the hard sound. So sometimes the C or G is at the end of a word, and like in the word dog, and the G is making that hard sound G. Sometimes the C is at the end of the word, there's no vowel after it, and the C is making a K, like in music. The K sound is the hard sound. Okay, so now we have our whole game board made, and I would encourage you to, with your children at home, to have them do this, make this game board maybe 2 or 3 times. And because each time they actually make the game board, they are thinking about, as we started out, thinking about the maze, thinking about putting a red dot for each vowel on a sharp point of the maze, also putting those vowels in alphabetical order on the maze, taking no shortcuts. And so if you use a whiteboard at home, the first time you might want to use a whiteboard or a chalkboard, and then they can erase it, and then you can do it again the next lesson and do it again. And maybe the third time, do it on paper or even a piece of construction paper or cardboard or something that they can keep then for good. But it really, really helps to have the practice of writing it several different times, and each time they do it, they'll get faster, but it'll really implant this lesson in their brain. And it'll implant the vision of this game board in their brain. My daughter, being profoundly dyslexic, had a very difficult time if she didn't have a game board in front of her, because she would reverse the digital number 2 to a number 5. And so everything was like flip-flopped. So what I did for her is every single book that she had, like her science book, her history book, her a book she was reading for fun at bedtime, any book she was reading, had to read out of, I had her make a bookmark, just a skinny bookmark with this game board on it. And just having the digital number 2 with the red vowels and the word hard and soft, and she was able to go. And she could just look at that if she got stuck on a word. Okay, we are ready now to actually begin playing the game. There are 3 rules for the game. Rule number 1 is that this is called the C and G game, and you must have a C or G in a word in order to play it. So if word number 1, I say, is the word spoon, And this is where we'll write underneath our line. Word number 1 is the word spoon. So go ahead and write that down. Then you need to ask yourself the question for rule number 1. Is there a C or is there a G in the word spoon? And of course you'll say, no, there's no C, there's no G. Well, guess what then? We cannot play the C and G game if there's no C or G. So we don't just cross that one out. We cannot play the C or G game with the word spoon because there's no C, there's no G. Okay, next word we're going to do, word number 2, is the word caught, spelled C-O-T. And with your children, I would just say, I'd like you to write down the word C-O-T and actually not read it for them, okay? And because that's part of what we're doing right now is to help them to be able to read. So once we have the word down, then we ask question number 1, is there a C or a G? Oh yes, good, you're answering. There is a C, you were right. So then we can play the game. Now, rule number 2 is to get your red pencil. Rule number 2 is get your red pencil and underline the vowel that comes directly behind the C or the G. Now, if you have little kids, like kindergartners, first graders, second graders, you might need to spend a little bit of time talking about what it means to come directly right behind the C or G. So in my classroom, I'd have kids line up for lunch and I'd say, all right, I'm first in line for lunch today. Who is right after me? And like maybe it's Brian. Okay, Brian is right after me. Well, there's also Stephen. Is he after me? Yes, he's after me, but is he right after me? So work with children to clarify that meaning of being right after the C or right after the G. That's the vowel that you underline with red. All right, now what we do is we get our little mouse, or if you don't have a little mouse, your little eraser, whatever it is you want to use. And you are going to take this little mouse or eraser and put it on the vowel O. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going. All right, so I am going to put this little mouse's nose, right on the vowel O. So you see where this mouse is? Then you ask your children, is that little mouse on the hard side or the soft side? And they'll go, it's on the hard side. And you go, yes, it is. It's on the hard side of our game because over here's our soft side. Oh, sorry to do this. And that little mouse is not on the soft side. It's on the hard side. So now what we do is we look get our yellow pencil and we have the mouse is on O and we look over here and we say, oh, the C is going to make k. That's the hard side sound of C. So then we're going to use our yellow pencil and write a letter K on top of, and I'm going to trace it a little bit with my pencil so you can see it better. Write a K on top of the letter C. And so you see that O is what's telling that C what to do. When there's an O after a C, it tells the C you must make K. And now we read the word. What is the word? Cot. And then we talk about what kind of cot is this? Like a little bed, like you might have a little cot for camping or a cot in a nurse's office, something like that. So always take time to discuss the words and talk to them. Say, now when you want to spell cot and it's making a K sound, then you say, oh, but it has an O after it. Well, then I can use a C to spell the K sound because it has an O after it. It's exciting. Okay, let's try word number 3. Word number 3 is the word, I'm not going to say the word. I'm just going to write it. C-I-T-Y. Okay, write number 3, C-I-T-Y. So after we write it, we get our red pencil for rule number 2. Red pencil. And we say to ourselves, what is the vowel that comes right after the C? Ask your children that. Yes, It's an I. Now, notice this word has two vowels. It has an I and a Y. But what letter is directly after the C? It is the I. So that's the one we underline. It's directly right after. Then we go to rule number 3, get our yellow pencil, and with our little mouse, we take our mouse and we say, little mouse, please go to the letter I. So here's A, E, I. There's the mouse. He's got his nose right on the letter I. And is that the hard side or the soft side? It is the soft side, so it tells the C to make S. So with your yellow pencil, put an S on top of the C. Just like that. And then you can ask your children, what do you think this word is? It's the word city. And if you love the book City Mouse and Country Mouse, there's lots of different versions. I love Jan Bratt's book, but this is a great time to pull out the book City Mouse and Country Mouse. And country also has a C in it with an O after it, so that's why it's hard. Okay, so this is the word city. Now let's try another word. I'm going quickly with you because so we can try a lot of different words, but you might want to take more time with your children and practice more hard C words and more soft C words. Now I'm going to go to a word with a G. So this is number 4, write G-Y-M. Okay, good. After you write that, what color do we pick up? What's rule number 2? What do we need to underline? The vowel that comes right after the G. So what color? Red. Good. And what do we do with that red? We underline the Y with the red. All right, now our brain is focused on that vowel Y, and we say, come on, little mouse, whoa, you get to go to Y this time. Oh my gosh, is that little mouse excited? It sure is, because it's going to start with A, E, I, O, U, Y. Oh, and the kids will be so happy because now that little mouse gets to eat that cheese. Okay, now notice, is the Y on the hard or soft side? Well, it is on the soft side. And so we go up here and it tells the G to make what sound? J. So what color do we pick up next? We pick up yellow. And what letter do we write right on top of the G? We write a J. It's going to make a soft sound. The word gym comes from the longer word gymnasium. And that's why it has that j sound. Okay? And so talk about a gymnasium. Maybe pull up some pictures of like Roman gymnasiums from hundreds of years ago in ancient history. And take a little bit of time to talk about how wonderful the nickname gym is really easy to spell compared to gymnasium. But then now they know how to spell it with a G, making a J sound because the Y is the secret clue. Okay, next word we're going to do is the word G-U-L-P. So write that down as word number 5, G-U-L-P. And ask your children, what color do we get for, or first of all, always I should ask them, is there a C or G? Yes. Okay, what color do we get? Red. And what is the vowel right after the G? U, good job. And what do we do with the U and our red pencil? We underline the U with red. There we go. Now our little mouse gets to play with us, and we're going to take our little mouse on the maze. And I encourage you always to do the maze instead of just going to the letter U and just be there. I would really encourage you to always take the little mouse around the maze, because that's going to help reinforce in their brain that it's sort of like, you know, when you play the piano or music, this muscle memory of moving and touching. It's going to really instill this game board in their brain. And I even have kids when I'm teaching, they'll pick up their pencil, in the air, they'll go in A, E, I, O, U, and they'll actually go around the whole maze to find a letter. And I think that's so important. So we'll start, we've got to find U. So we're going to A, E, I, O, U. Oh, we didn't get all the way to the cheese this time. But is that U on the hard or soft side? It's on the hard side. So what does it tell the G to do? It tells the G to make G, G. And make sure you don't say G, because that's actually a G and a U. And if you're saying that this word, if you go G, then you're actually putting two U's in the word. So just say G. And write a G on top in yellow with your yellow pencil. And then ask your children, what is this word? And you see how that it's important not to have a G, because if you go G, oop, you're going to go G, oop. You're going to have two O's in there. So just a G, oop, gulp. All right, and then talk about what does gulp mean. And I'm sure your children will have lots of fun making lots of gulping noises. All right, number 6 is the word C-A-G-E. Okay, so write this word C-A-G-E. All right, and then ask your children, rule number 1, is there a C or G in this word? Oh my gosh, what happened this time? You're right, there's a C and a G. What are we going to do then? Oh my goodness, they will get so excited. Well, we have to play the game twice. We can't just play it once, we have to play it twice. So let's pick up red first. What are we going to think about? Well, what vowel comes right after the C? Which one? Yes, it is the A. What vowel comes right after the G? Yes, it is the E. So to do this word, our little mouse gets to play twice. We get to play twice. So first of all, after the C is the A. So put your little mouse's nose right on the A. Is that the hard or soft side? It's the hard side. What sound does it tell the C to make? Pick up your yellow. Picking up my speed, but go at your children's rate of speed. And picking up my yellow and making a letter K for the C, because the A tells it to, the A tells it to make K. All right, now we have the letter E. The E is bossing around or telling the G what to do. So now we're going to take our little mouse. A, E. Is E on the hard or soft side? Well, it's on the soft side. And so it tells the G to make J. You're right. All right, so write a J on top of the G in yellow. And I sometimes have the kids trace it over with a regular pencil because the yellow doesn't show up so good, but every single color in my reading program has a special job to do. And red, like I said, is for vowels, and yellow is for single consonants. So there is that word. So look, the A told it to make the C to make a hard sound of K. The E told the G to make a soft sound of J. What is that word? Cage. Great. So then you can talk about animals in cages, and like maybe they have a little pet gerbil or something in a cage. All right, now I'm going to go through a couple very tricky words so that you have some tricky words, but you will see your children will, no matter how old they are, they will be able to catch on to the C and G game, and even within a day or two, they will be doing this great big word. And I have lots of words in my books for you to practice, and the kids will love this game. So this is word number 7. I'll spell it E-M-E-R-G-E-N-C-Y. Now I tell my kids, do not say it out loud. We're going to play the game, and then you can tell me the word. Okay? So now, rule number 1. Do you see any C's or G's? They're like, oh, this is another word with 2, a C and a G. And I'm like, yes, you're right. So then we get to play the game how many times? 2 times. We're going to get a red pencil and be very careful to underline the vowel that comes right after the G and the vowel that comes right after the C. Okay? And then I asked them, what vowels did you find? What vowels did you underline? Well, we underlined the E for the G and the Y for the C. So the E is telling the G what to do, the Y is telling the C what to do. Now, we're going to take our little mouse and we're going to find E to tell us what the G is to do. So A, E, and we're on the soft side. So the G is supposed to make J. Very good. So put a J on top of the G. The E told it exactly what to do. It's so helpful to have these vowels tell the letters what to do. We don't have to figure it out anymore. The vowels do it for us. And then we have the Y telling it the C what to do. Uh-oh, is your mouse excited? It gets to go to Y. Okay, A, E, oh sorry, I, O, U, Y. There's G's to eat. The kids get so excited. Okay, so it tells that Y, that C I mean, to make an S sound. Now the kids look and they say, oh, that's such a big word. And by the time they're in part 8 in my book, you'll be amazed. They can just read it. They'll just pop it off. The word emergency. And we'll do one more word and then we'll finish for today. Number 8. So it starts with M-A-G-N-I-F-I-C-E-N-T. Oh my gosh, that is a big, long word. And again, don't say it for kids. Now, do you see a C or G in this word? Yes, there's 2 of them again. But now we have a little tricky problem because look at the G. The G has no vowel after it. It has the letter N, which is a consonant. Okay, when you have worked through my program, starting with part 1, part 2, part 3, you will have learned that we're going to put a purple line for syllables. So, right, I know you don't have purple out right now, but you can just watch mine. We can put a purple line when we divide words into syllables. And you see, this G is at the end of a syllable. And because it's at the end of a syllable, we're going to use this rule, end. Remember that we did before, like dog has a G at the end, it's going to be the hard sound. Music has a C at the end, it's going to be the hard sound. So now, when we get to really difficult words, and your children will be able to, maybe not the first or second or third lesson, but by the 4th lesson, they will be able to, and maybe even the 3rd, they'll be able to read this word because I've been teaching, you've been working on all the other parts of my program ahead of time, and you'll be amazed. They'll just pop it off. You'll be amazed. This G is right next to the purple line, so we are going to use that it's at the end of a word or the end of a syllable. And because it's at the end, it's going to make the G sound. So we're going to put a yellow G on top of that G because it's at the end of the syllable. So now we have our first syllable is mag. And now we need to go to the C. What letter is after the C? Oh, it is a vowel this time. So we can use rule number 2. We can underline it with red. So underline our vowel with red. And after you have the vowel underlined with red, it's the letter E. We're going to take our little mouse. A, E. Good job. Is E on the hard or soft side? Oh, it's on the soft side. So it's going to tell our C to make the S sound. So put an S on top of the C. And now your little children, once they reach part 8 of my program, and they will be able to sound out each part. I tell them it's like a jigsaw puzzle. Sound out the first part, mag, nif, sint, magnificent. And you are magnificent readers, and you are magnificent players of the C and G game. I would be more than happy to receive emails from you and answer any questions you have. So my email address is silentelephante, all lowercase, @gmail.com. So just spell silent and elephant and put an E at the end @gmail.com. And again, I'd be more than happy to answer your questions. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.